Hello and welcome back to Compiler Programming. Today I want to work a bit more on macros, and in particular one thing that I started to notice is that our macros, at least the couple or one really that is used currently, it doesn't actually require any kind of advanced features, and I have a hard time even figuring out what would be a macro that would need them. What I'm talking about is in particular ability to sort of expand a subtree inside a macro and continue sort of applying macros and expanding and so on, but in such a way that you can also have some things around them. So I'm not even sure what would be a good explanation for this. I guess in C, right, you have a token-based macro. So if I can do something like define L paren and I do this, and I think I can do this, right? So this should actually work in C. But this is probably something that is only very, very occasionally useful, maybe, and I'm not even sure that this is something that cannot be achieved through other means as well. So I'm not sure that we want this or need this more precisely, but we kind of support this at the moment. Not necessarily with braces because they are a special thing, but with other things, something like with comma, we do support it at the moment. And again, I'm not exactly sure that's really necessary, but it causes a bunch of complication throughout the current implementation. And I recently looked at the size of the compiler. It was getting quite chunky recently, so I thought it would be a good idea to try to simplify all of this. And I think at the same time, it will also help with the hygienic side of the macros. So yeah, that is the plan. However, if we want to do something like that, we need to figure out what would be a good way to handle this. So I have a couple of ideas in mind, and this is a question of semantics and what does it actually mean to pass something here in the macro. One thing that is one way we could look at it is considering that it is a value. So if I pass in something into a macro here, that is going to be evaluated at the point where macro is called and passed in the same as a function. The second option would be to interpret the actual argument as a macro itself. So imagine that our body here is something like, well, it just calls some function foo. That would be probably the easiest example. This is our body that we passed into while here. So we have like while true foo. Whatever. Oops, sorry. Yeah, this is our setup, and we are like, if our body only occurs once inside of this type of macro definition, then everything is fine. But the question is, what should happen if body occurs twice? How are we supposed to I think I actually answered my own question. Yes, we are supposed to call it twice. Because otherwise also we'll have this setup where we won't actually be calling foo every time if we just pass this value. Okay, so talking through it is a very powerful thing. So I kind of used this YouTube video for rubber ducking, but it works. So yeah, now I know that if we have this multiple times, then it will be expanded multiple times, and it is also expanded sort of as a macro itself. So maybe that's how I want to implement this. This might take a bit of time, so strap in, and let's think about what it would look like. First thing is figuring out the syntax. I wasn't happy that this just looks like this, that we have a naked identifier here. But now that I'm looking at it, maybe I could kill two birds with one stone and fix this weirdness here, that we just have an identifier that suddenly does stuff, and at the same time help us with the implementation. And what I have in mind is to put macros inside of my macros and have it like that meme. Okay, so this would be something like this. So whenever we have this stuff, we would basically turn it into a function, and that actually should help with another problem that I was thinking about, where would be nice if it was possible to sort of pass things into the macro itself. Like, so it's actually described in this issue around continue and break, right? If we have a break, then that break should be connected to the particular loop that we're in, so like just loop above. But if we if we just make it in the same way as here, then that's not really going to be the case, I guess. That's actually also wrong. What the continue is here. This should be a break, right? So we just stepping out of the loop. Yeah, and continue should be a loop start. Well, anyhow, the point is right now this is not great. Let's put it that way. Okay. Yeah, so this is what I'm going for. I think that turning this into a function, and then again we should be able to pass in things into there. I'm not exactly sure what would be a good syntax for that, because we need to pass very specific things into the body, but I like this sort of consistency, because we're just saying that whenever we capture these, we are turning each of the captures into a macro function that we can call to expand in place, and this is a pretty decent semantic, I think. But again, I don't want to break all the things in the universe, so we'll go to our macro, and in particular to we actually have syntax. Yes, we have a bunch of syntax, and I will be very unimaginative. I will take one of these tests, right? And actually, I won't even copy it. I will just change it. And we'll create a uh, new keyword, syntax underscore, also very unintuitive, and just make it work with a new system. So that would mean that it's supposed to be like so, right? And honestly, I'm not even sure we will support this particular form, but for now, this is not the question that I have in mind. So let's continue with this. Okay, we need to look for syntax. Okay, that's gonna be quite a copy paste, but that's fine. We'll just let's call it new syntax. I will rename it back to the old one, of course, later, but for now, that's just gonna help us with implementation. Okay. So we have this one. We will say we basically copy this stuff here. Do it like so. I can remove this one. This is something else I was working on, which we might get back to in another video or offline. I don't know. But for now, new syntax. Okay, I removed the unnecessary one. Okay, good. So we have new syntax. It does exactly the same thing as the old one was doing. The big difference, I guess, would be how do I want to do this? So the actual expansion of the macro happens in a different place. So I probably want to add some kind of flag, bool, new syntax. Okay, and we'll just slap it on here and say true. Okay, that should not do anything. If we run now, actually, let's first run without the braces and see that it still works, because it should, and it does. Everything is fine. Okay, now we can continue changing stuff. Okay. The change will be in parse macros or something. Macro match, apply replacements. Is this what I want? Okay, token apply macro replacements. Okay, so this is where we match, right? And if we match the pattern, then we do this. Okay. Parse macro match. Okay, yeah. So this now will be something different from what we were doing before. And okay, so here we will do this check. We'll say macro new syntax, then do something. Otherwise, do whatever you were doing before. Okay, the question is, what do we do when we matched? I guess token um, I don't know. Let's call it new syntax, and they will go through all of the code, and whenever we have new syntax, we'll just do something. So this is supposed to return us an array const pointer. So let's copy this. Okay. And none of this is actually what we will be doing. Instead, we basically have to call it in the same manner as the function, more or less. Okay, wait a second. We have token view match. So the match is what yeah, this is the thing that we captured from here. So this would be like if I open up fixtures, fizz buzz. So we have while here, right? So temp would be, and then these would be captures. Okay. That means that here we need to create a new function for every capture. Okay. Let's do just that. We have pattern item, single token, sequence. Okay. We can actually extract this here. View, or like capture view. And we can even do this kind of trick. Fall through. Okay, so if it is 1, then we check that it's 1. Otherwise, it is multiple ones. Okay. Do we actually care that that's the case? Well, let's actually not care. That is the case. It will simplify stuff, and then later on, if it causes problems, well, it causes problems. Okay. But we will not be doing this hash map set because we no longer have a hash map. So this is also not the thing anymore. Instead, we need to create functions. So for that, let's get to function literal and see what we are doing here. So we have a function builder, we have a descriptor, gotcha, and then we parse in stuff. Okay, well, let's, I guess, grab all of it and then we will start just clearing it out as we go. So let's paste it all in here. And we can go from there. Okay, this creates a function scope. Yes, this is actually correct. Except for it shouldn't be global scope, it should be the current scope. Yeah, we are capturing the scope from wherever we are calling the macro. Creating the builder, body, that's not the case. Okay, it's external. No, it is never external. We have this stuff, this stuff. Okay. So that seems reasonable. Don't need this weird double equals. Return label. Return label. Technically, we don't need that either because it will be, if we mark it as a macro, macro itself will provide the return labels. So let's try to not do that for now. I will actually comment this out instead of removing it because macro call should me remove macro call should provide its own labels. Okay. This deals with the return value. I think we don't care. Kinda. Let's do the same thing here. So we'll also remove this stuff and say we don't care about the return value. The same thing here. And this has to do with parsing the arguments. And I mean, basically, we don't have to do that either because right now we don't accept any arguments. So this is also out. And I think I can just remove it completely because we don't have any arguments. We don't have external. So we have this way. But unlike this thing here, we are also gonna add descriptor function flags macro right away. Okay, so that's that should take care of creating a function. Yeah, it's missing the body, right? So let's try to build this. There will be a bunch of errors, but we can got actually currently 2. Well, that's good to know, because here the body of this thing is what is it? It is we have to do a bunch of stuff here. So the problem with the body right now is we can capture basically just arbitrary slice of tokens, and there is no like naked group, or I don't know how to best call it. Basically, we can evaluate something in round braces, we can evaluate something in curly braces, but we cannot evaluate just, okay, here's a chunk of tokens that you have and treat it as if they were inside of parentheses, but they're not. So for now, let's just say fix me allow to have a, actually it's fine, we don't even need to comment. So here's what we're gonna do. Have token star fake body, and that fake body will be uh, actually we'll do like this. So this is actually where we care about the size of the things. So we can say that if capture view length is 1, then fake body is token view get of fake body. Oh, sorry. Capture view 0. Otherwise, we need to create a fake body. So we'll say token star token is allocator, allocate context allocator token, and then we say token is what? Well, tag will be token tag group, and then we say group type token group. Actually, so it is it, did I change? Group tag paren, and then this is children, and then token array from view, and capture view. There is a bit of a question, where do I take the source range? So for now, I guess I will just add another fix me. So I think I need another whole pass on how to deal with source ranges. I think that source ranges, so right now they are attached to tokens, but I don't think that's a good idea. I mean, they should still be attached to tokens, but inside of the compiler, I think I have to propagate them like inside of these views. So even if we have a zero-sized view, we will be able to get a source range where that zero-sized view is actually captured from. But for now, that's not a thing. So fix me get proper range. So source range is 0, And let's set that comment here. And source. Well, slice literal like this. Okay. Different qualifiers. Okay. Star token is token. Okay, now we should have a body. And this is no longer part of the macro. Okay. So now we have sort of this part, but we have not actually expanded the macro itself. So we defined the x, not really even defined. We just created one. So we need another scope. Yes, we need another scope. That would be part of, like, we basically need to create a scope for this thing, for the whole expression. And it is also need to think about this. So the scope for this expression should actually be from the original one. So right now, I believe macro does not capture scope, and I think it should. So let's do it that way. And I might be able to refactor these and unify it with other macro stuff that we have, maybe even with operators, but for now, let's just focus on the feature. And here's our syntax definition, and here we'll just say scope is scope. Okay, so now we have a scope, and that means that we can do macro scope. And here I want to actually assert that there is one. Okay, and that is the scope where we would expand this thing in. I'm just gonna get rid of it, and then if I need it, I will bring it back. Okay. So this is here, expansion, we have it here, and now we are ready to define a value. Scope define. I think it, maybe not. It needs a scope, so that would be expansion scope. Then the name is this stuff. And then we need a scope entry. And 10, or I think it's type, scope entry type value, then we have flags, and for flags we actually can say that it is a static value. Yes, it should be a static value, and the value, is it like this or just like this? Value is result. Okay, so we have the thing, we have the scope, that is great. And now we can look at I'm just thinking about returns in this scenario and what they should be doing. I think returns in the scenario of these kind of things actually refer to the original scope's returns, so I don't need to do anything about them, I guess. Operator. Handle user-defined operator. I think this is roughly what we need. Okay. So it just calls token parse block. But I think okay, so that's what you do. Then this is also what we will be doing. So for now, I'll just keep it the same way as this previous implementation in terms of the calling convention, but this would be pretty stupid, I think, in the end. But for now, this let's just make this array and deal with that. So we have context, we copied, and then scope, we say expansion scope, and then token parse expression, body context. I guess we will need to do another one of those things, right? Yeah. Okay, so let's extract this actually into a function. How should we call it? Const token star token from token view. I don't know. Fake token from token view. And we need to have a view, obviously. And we need to have an allocator. So const allocator star allocator and token view. View, view, view. Capture view, yeah. Okay. That seems reasonable. And now I can say context allocator and capture view. And here's the same thing. Fake replacement body. And this would be macro replacement. That's actually not how it's done. It should be like this. And I'm also missing another semicolon. We don't have a result value. That is unfortunate, but that just means that we would do the following. Value star result value is value any of context allocator, and then we do dynamic array push replacements. Allocator and results value. I think you also want a source range. Well, let's just take it from here, I guess. Let's do const token star result token. Actually, here you do want a token view. Okay, so that's even nicer because now you can just put in this thing. We don't need the fake token here. That's always nice. And token value make. Okay, so it's just defined a bit later. We can bring it up a bit. Well, right after scopes, that seems like a good place to put it. So you just want the context, and fake replacement body is not a thing. That's because okay, so you want the source range again. Fine. Fix me. Provide the proper source range. Okay, so that actually builds, and it seems at least partially reasonable. that that would be what we want to happen. So let's just find this thing here and see what is going on. Okay, we got to this function. That is already great. We got to it in the right test, and we can start looking at what's supposed to happen. We get to here. We create this stuff. We create the functions. Builder. Okay. Fake body. Let's look at fake body. In this case, it actually should be, yeah, it's just an ID, which is X, right? Yeah. Actually, is this the right thing? We are talking here about, yeah. That's actually wrong, what we were doing. So it's good that I looked at it, because all of it is only interesting if we actually need to do anything with it. So if we don't have this, then continue. That is a pretty important thing, I guess. Otherwise, we would do weird things. Okay, so let's start again. Get in here. And now we should skip the first one, which is negative. And that's exactly what we do. That's great. Okay, let me bring this up a bit. We create a scope. That is part of current scope. We start the function, descriptor, fake body. Now fake body is 42. So yeah, this is the captured thing here, right? Okay. We create the scope. Voila, all good. We add flags. And we define in the expansion scope this stuff. Okay, that looks very reasonable to me. And now what we will be doing is we will be evaluating this stuff with x defined as what we expect it to be. So we create these, we create these. Well, let's just be adventurous and try to step right over this and see what happens. We might explode horribly. We didn't explode horribly, but the question is our result value anything reasonable? And no, it is not. We are still left with a pretty bad result value. Okay, that just means that we need to try it all over again. Now let's actually look at what happens. So we go into parse expression. We are in here. We get a group. So that group, I guess, is this stuff. All right. Go away. Okay, I'm not sure what exactly I did, but let's continue. It's a group. Previous is not an operator, so we just do it this way. We skip over this, and then we go into here, and we go into token force value. Token force value will find parentheses, and we are inside again. So now we should find that minus. Yeah, that's what we do. We go into here. And we will push an operator, which is minus operator entry. Okay, it's a prefix operator. Everything is great. We push an identifier. That would be X. Let's verify that. Yes, it is indeed X. And finally, we have parentheses. So we go inside of handle this stuff. The precedence is not higher, so we just push it to operator stack and we are out. Okay. So now we start to go through this. Okay, what is operator entry right now? That is the function call, so the precedence is correct. That doesn't seem to be the problem that we are having. But let's see what is going to happen. I guess I know what the problem is. Maybe? So yeah, I think if we just run the tests, it will tell us. Undefined variable x. How curious. But we did define it though. Right here. Okay. So this is where we report this. So we are inside handle function call and dispatch operator. So yeah, that all seems pretty reasonable to me. We try to get the target and we fail. But the question is, so first let's verify that the scope is correct. So this is 440E10. And then expansion scope is 440E10. Everything is fine. So why don't you find it? Undefined variable. Print scope print names. So let's just try to print this stuff, maybe. And context scope. Okay, let's see which names are available in this scope. And that is a lot of stuff, but let's look at it. Full return label, return value. Well, I mean, it is correct that there are no... there isn't an X in there? Is it new syntax? So let's actually do this before we... Yeah, let's do it like this. So before we try to parse, we need to verify that we have an X in there. And we don't? Now I'm very, very confused. I just added it here. Apparently I didn't. Oh, yeah. That is a bit stupid. I actually wonder if I need it to be done that way, but okay. This is what we are going to do. Slice, capture name, and then we will say capture name is this, and here we will say capture name is this, capture name length, potentially an initialized variable. Well, okay, that's not actually the case, but okay. Okay, so previously the problem was we were looking at the wrong memory, I guess, and accidentally getting false, maybe, but then I thought I saw it go into here. So let's try again. Okay, that's much better. First of all, we asserted, and secondly, we actually do have an X now. But we asserted it in a weird place. That assert actually doesn't fail. I'm stupid, I should have used panic. Okay. Anyhow. So now something else terrible happens. Let's see what that terrible is. Returns was a nulptr. That is not great. So we need to say a descriptor function returns is value any of contexts allocator. Okay, I guess we are making progress. Um, Now it's unhappy that we have something that is not a group in, yeah, that would be inside of a function call. We are expecting that the body of the function is where is this happening? Yes, here. um, I mean, I could turn it into a curly. It doesn't really matter, I guess. Um, that should simplify my life a bit. Where here, fake body, I'll just say that is curly fake block token. Maybe I should inline it back in, but it's fine. Okay, maybe we'll get a bit further again. You complaining again that it's not a group? Actually, you were complaining that it's not a group. Yeah. So yeah. Actually, let's inline all this stuff back in. And we always will do this. And now I can actually add a fix me, maybe function calls should not expect a body in curly braces. Okay. Context, and this is going to be capture view. Do I need to put anywhere else? No. Okay, let's try again. Well, it's progress. Where are you crashing, my friend? You are crashing in what? Access violation, reading location 10. Oh, yeah. You are unhappy because you don't have a proper source range. That is a bit awkward. Well, let's just inline this in for now, and then we can figure out what to do about that. Allocator, allocate, context, allocator, token. And star result token is this. Okay. That should fix this particular problem. Specify a const object. Yeah, just don't specify a const object. And result value goes here. Okay, one more try. And ta-da! Great. So that is then the new implementation. Let's try to convert other tests in here as well and see how it fares. I have no idea if it'll actually work. So yeah, this one doesn't actually translate into the new setup. So I'll just remove it because it doesn't. I mean, it was just a kind of a fun thing to have, but yeah. So I guess this was a good example that I was searching for at the start of the video of what token-based things would do. But I guess it's fine. I mean, I could actually support this, but I don't want to at the moment. So the way that would support is I would allow to like if the function return, if the macro returns void or something, or maybe it will return a special value and then it will be like, okay, I actually want to be collapsed into nothing, but I'll wait till there is actually a case for this. This was just a fun thing. Okay. This common stuff is essentially in the same bucket, although this one will actually work, I think. We can try. Unknown descriptor type. So I think it's unhappy about well, to support this, basically, I will need to check the return type. I will quickly try to do it, but if it doesn't work, I will not spend too much time on it. Basically, what needs to happen here is we need to say macro replacement length. And then if it has a length, then we do this, and otherwise I would say void value. I think that should fix the issue, but I'm not sure. And it does. Okay, well, that is decent enough. I'm not against this. This makes sense. Which basically we are just saying that if the macro body, like in this case, right, there is no body here. Like if macro doesn't have a body, then the return type is automatically void, right? And if it has a body, then the return type will be whatever is the return type of the expression inside. That kind of makes sense to me. So okay, this works. I mean, yeah, and this doesn't actually do anything of the new stuff, but it still works, so that's great. In a sense, I could here somehow make it such that you can maybe something like this, and you say, okay, I don't actually care about this capture, I want to ignore it. But even like this, it still works, so that's okay. Next, we have a block. I expect that to work, but you never know. And it does not work. Okay, let's keep it like this. Let's check other ones as well, and then we will focus on this one if it still doesn't work. Ah, okay, yeah, it actually shouldn't work because I forgot to do this. And now it does work. Okay. much better. Let's try the next one. Foo. What does it actually check? It checks that we have it like this. Okay, that should just work because it has nothing to do with the new functionality. And it does. And I think this is the last one we have, or the first one. And again, it has nothing to do with the new functionality, so it should work just fine. Okay, that's great. It turned out maybe even better than I thought it would. I'm pretty happy with what we have now. Obviously, I will now need to go introducely update everything to the new setup, but that's just it. I will not bore you with that on the videos, so that will be all for today. Thank you very much for watching, and hopefully see you next time.